Alright, so I thought I would begin, I guess, the homeschool year. Well, not really the year, but start back sharing homeschool updates and actually what we're doing, what we're covering, and things like that. And I am going to start off this short vlog with science. And if you all watched last year's curriculum choice video, you know that we use Answers in Genesis. Answers in Genesis is a series of books that cover various topics. This one is our planet Earth, and in each book it is designed to teach from elementary all the way up into high school. So that's a lot of the reasons why I like this, because I only need one book to teach everybody, and with multiple children, multiple grade levels, this really gets the job done without having to have 50 million things. You know, it's just quick, it's concise, and it does what it needs to do. I did do a walkthrough and I've shared several lessons through here, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But what happens is you will see, like, you get a lesson, an introduction to your lesson, and each book is laid out like this, whether it's the human body or physics or chemistry or what have you. You get your words to know, you get challenge words, and there are instructions. Let me go back because it tells you how it's broken down by grade level. Okay, that's what the little codes are for. So you'll see different colors. So you get first, second grade, third, fifth grade, sixth, eighth grade, and so on. Okay. So that's what these colors are for. That's the part that you continue to read. Everybody gets the whole, you know, everything in white. And then if you have third to fifth graders, you read this part and you stop. The higher you go, you know, middle school, high school, and you see it's longer. There's a lot more. There are little projects and things like that that they have to do. There is plenty of reference to the Bible and God, because we educate from a worldview. Okay, so that's where this comes from. But again, there's not a lot. It's meaty, but there's not a lot. It's not overkill, and we can get through a lesson, discuss it, and move on really quickly. You can take, you know, 15-20 minutes and move on. The next day we get a whole new lesson. We may go back and review a couple of things from the last lesson, but this curriculum really does a good job. Just in the beginning, some of the questions, they're going to repeat, so they're going to get the same thing here and a little more information. So helpful that it's just laid out this way. We usually sit down together and just read through, answer questions, talk about it, discuss. And usually what happens in the beginning, I will go through the words to know, write them down, okay, and we will talk about them. I will ask them questions about what they know about that word already, and they will give me answers, and I will write down answers and things like that, and then we will kind of expand upon it, and then we'll read to find out how much we actually knew, how much we learned, and things like that. And so a lot of times, you know, they do have some knowledge of you know, terms and things like that in the subjects. But it is good to further, you know, like the elements and things like that. We have not, for the little ones, dove too much into that, but I added in so that they will know, because we are going to get into there. Now, I have the entire set, and I did speak upon this. You can go to Answers in Genesis website, look at the set. It is, I want to say pricey, but it's not pricey. it's an investment. Okay, you are going to see a large sum of money, but keep in mind you won't have to buy anything. You can also scout out eBay. A lot of times you can get at least a set of 3 for around $50 or $60, and you will also get the supplement, and you will get your tests and quizzes. And the supplement, you also get your CD-ROM. So the way this is laid out, it will tell you in the book what you need for each lesson. If you need a handout that you take from here, you can take that from here, or you can get it from your CD-ROM. But yeah, and how do I teach science? So laid out for auditory, visual, kinesthetic learners, hands-on, I mean, just everything. Teaching them how to make observations, do experiments, you review the topic, introduce the topics, and so on. So, you all know we also do the 7 C's, which I'm not going to get into. You can watch the answers in Genesis Bible curriculum video. But here in the lessons, they give you a supply list. So you need a copy of Weather Across the Country, and you will find that again on the disc or in your book here. Actually, in the disc. Those are the quizzes. No, I take that back. You do get them in the book. Okay, I stand corrected. You do get them in there. Newspaper, weather report. You can also use your phones, tablets or what have you, if that, is the case, because it is a lot quicker to do that. That's just a weather chart, and they're charting the weather across the country, basically, to see different temperatures at different times, or at the same time, rather. You need supplies, and it just, it tells you. You can also add to this. I add things all the time to this. You don't have to. It is complete. But if you have things, when we study animals, I will pull out Lakeshore Learning animals and things like that. And we did classification with the physical animals. You don't have to do that. But if you have those things, go ahead. And you have your answers in here. Taking it further. So that's what that is. Very quick. There's literally no prep work. If anything, if you have to make a copy of your handouts, that's basically it. These are things that, you don't really have to search around for. If you do, I would suggest in the beginning of the year or beginning of the week, however you plan your studies, just make sure you have these things on hand. There's nothing that's not unattainable. All right. So enough with that. But my basis, we kind of skip around in the studies, different things, just because some days are interested in, earth and weather. Some days it's, the human body. Some days it may be physics and things like that. And that's what I like about this, because there's no end or beginning. You can go straight through. You can, one day do this, one day do the next subject, one day, and just learn it all. But I'm a little more stringent this year, because actually I have been doing the same thing, but we kind of do science a little more because they love science, so I throw in the extra days. But I make sure I follow. This here is our district's scope and sequence. This is a year at a glance. And so starting out for this month, these couple of weeks, this is what they are to be, what they should be covering. And you all know I'm teaching to standard because I feel that is somewhat important. It also gives you a guide if you have no clue as to what and how. This is a nice roadmap. Should you ever have to put the children in school, and we all have that on our agenda, we don't know when, we may never have to, we all have that ahead of us. You would want to be prepared. I know it's easy to, as homeschoolers, create our own plan and things like that. That's fine. but you also should keep in mind that they should also keep up with the children, what they are learning in school, because if you have to put them in school and they have not learned what these other children have, you may have a problem even grading, getting them in the grade that you have them working in. They may not want them in that grade level, and that's a case-by-case scenario per school. If the fourth grade is too full and you had your child working in fourth grade, and even though they actually should be in third grade, they're going to put that child in third grade class. And, even though that child may know, you may even have to do some testing. So I suggest follow something. It doesn't have to be to a T, but I've always done it, and mine are ahead. So yeah, there are certain things that I do not specifically focus on, so that, we are going to cover those things. They're just minor things that we don't focus on, lifestyle wise and family wise, but they do need to know those things. For instance, the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, they've heard the term, they've read it, they don't know what it is, but I need to cover that. So I'll cover it, let them know what it is, and we'll move on. It's not that they're reciting it. And so in this unit, they'll use tools to observe, measure, compare, test, and test matter to determine physical properties. They will classify matter as solid, liquid, or gas. They will begin a year-long process of collecting weather data. And if you all know, we do our daily binders. They track the weather every day, and it's pretty much our weather, so we will expand it. Sometimes we do look at other states and other countries and things like that and make observations to see what the weather's like. I even asked you all that, how's the weather? So some of these things we already know, we have been touching on, but I'm focusing more so on them. Everything, the big idea, that was a summary. The big idea: everything on earth is made of matter that consists of properties that can be measured and classified. Each state of matter has its own unique property. So we're learning about properties of matter. Then there are some essential questions. How are observed and measured properties used to describe and classify states of matter? How do weather conditions vary at the same time at different locations on Earth? Okay, so that is what we're focusing on. From August, it says 28th, we are actually ahead of time. So until the 22nd, thereabout, this is, where we'll be. And anything else I want to throw in outside of here. This little section, I already looked ahead. It is roughly about, let's see, let me take that back. From here, all of these things, all the way through November, is roughly about 13 chapters. That is a lot. But, again, we year-round homeschool, and these chapters are not very long. So, what's in here is actually a lot longer than I know they would actually cover in school. But again, we're not school, and I appreciate that I have my resource here that is so thorough and is so comprehensive. And I've been thus far blessed to have picked out quote-unquote perfect curriculum, because it just falls right in line with what I need. It works flawlessly. So I will not, I have no plans of deviating. So I do not know, I may make mention in the curriculum video when I do share it that, this is it. I will link back last year's video, to the things I do not share. But this is it. That's it. Check eBay. I've seen quite a people starting I've seen people starting to pick up answers in Genesis. Some of them, yes, from what I've shared. Some of them on their own. To me, it so far is the best. It does the job. It does the job. Again, I cannot ask for anything else. I don't have to. When you have high schoolers, middle schoolers, elementary schoolers, and you have everything right here in this, you know, each volume is roughly about this size. You can't go wrong with that. You really can't. So you piecemeal it together or get the set, and usually they run deals. They will run a deal for the whole set for about $2.99. So again, it is an investment, but if you're getting this basis, let's see, or versus, I don't know, what do I hear? Apologia. You multiply, you know, that's running you probably about $100 per child. You know, that's a lot of money. So I don't know, to each his own. But over here we're going to determine ways that energy and matter affect the daily life. We're talking about energy, each form of energy, increasing and decreasing, thermal energy. How does energy change? Or energy, I can't talk because I'm trying to read fast. How do changes in energy affect the property of matter? How does each form of energy affect the change or property of matter in everyday life? So here we're going to talk about forces, and we already started a little bit of this when I don't know, we got into the gases and the mixing of things. Somebody said geyser. So again, and we've done a lot in volcanoes, so they know a lot of things already, but we're going to talk more about this. You know, natural forces, the eruptions and things like that, that change the Earth's surface. So, to be interesting, like I said, roughly, I think I said 13. We will finish this book. Yeah, here's our geysers. Geysers is actually way over here, and I have gone through and kind of detailed some things that I want to cover, but we will finish this entire book. I'm not going to say we will finish the book October. I won't say that because we do have other things to do. Like some of the stuff we'll get into the minerals and things like that, but we won't go heavy into it because again, that's not over here. There are certain things I will touch on, but not so much every day. There are special features in here. It's talking about fossils. So those of you, you know, there's activities in here where they make their own fossil. Or you can go and buy some fossil fuels, things like that. And these are all things that they learned. We started out with science fusion. So they have already covered a lot of these topics. We just didn't go too much into debt and the terms, the actual terms. Some of the terms we, you know, talked about, but lithosphere is basically a new one. First law, thermo, and second law for the little ones. Those are new ones. Evolution we get in the Bible, so they were very familiar with that. Growing crystals. So lots of, you know, things with chocolate chips and, you know, things like that. Really neat, really neat. This is talking about the Earth's crust. And of course that's a high school experiment, but they're melting something and putting it in cold water. So really cool. All the kids get a good dose of science, whichever the actual topic may be, but high school all the way up. You all leave me in the comments what science curriculum you use, and is there a certain, you know, scope and sequence that you follow? Or is it just open and go? Let me know in the comments. And thumbs up if you would like to see more videos like this. I will talk to you all soon. Let me just give you a quick flip through here. Okay. Let's talk about planets. Drawing page. Test and quiz on the back. That one is actually a two-part book. You flip it over for the other book, so There are actually three books in this series, and they're in here. You might get things like crossword puzzles, maps. So really neat. There's the flip part of the book. And again, you can use these or don't use these. They're really simple. Blank is the study of the Earth's atmosphere. This is lessons 1 through 34. So nothing really hard. Do it orally, do it on the board. It's a review. Hurricanes can only form near the blank. So it is a good gauge of, what we've covered. So I do like to use them and the little activities that we have. Good day.